When did you look around and realize that this was going to be harder for you? Or did it occur to you?
No, I did. When you're in school, you are sheltered. You're
Yeah.
blithely unaware of what the real world is. And in hindsight, looking back at it, you kind of go, well, all the markers were there, right? It's like, how many Asians did you see growing up on television, Paul? It's like, well, there was Sam on Quincy. There was Sulu, Bruce Lee in the, Green Hornet.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and that's about it, right? And so, but you're not aware of that. And in school, I was just like, you're naive and you're brash and you think, yes, I'm going to be a star and I'm going to have a lead role on a television series. And I'm going to grow my career and it's going to be fun and awesome. And, yeah, that did not happen. Like once I was out of school, how do you get work? What are you even allowed to audition for? And it was so frustrating because I was being held back because of the color of my skin. Even though I had grown up, for all intents and purposes, I was as Canadian as anybody else. I
You're
sounded the
Canadian, yeah.
same, everything. But the color of my skin. So casting agencies are like, we're not looking for Asian performers, right? We're not looking for that. Or we already have one Asian person in the cast. We can't have more than one. People get confused or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just this huge, bitter pill to have to swallow to realize that I was being I was being like hemmed in because of the way I looked, right? And it's a terrible thing. I mean, it's one thing if you're given an opportunity to audition for these parts or get a chance to go for it, but it's another thing to not even be allowed to do that. And that's, for me, the biggest thing about this push for diversity and inclusivity isn't just cast me because of the color of my skin. No. It's give us the same opportunities as everybody else does to land these roles. That's it. Let skill and craft and talent decide all this, but don't let the color of somebody's skin do that. And it's not about taking work away from other people. It is about giving other people the same opportunity to land that work. So I would not have believed something like this would have been possible even as little as 10 years ago, because it has changed substantially since then. We still have a ways to go, but we're still we are light years further ahead than I thought we would be 10, 15 years ago when I was, grinding out, trying to find work.
How did you navigate the industry then with that sort of in front of you?
It became very obvious early on that I wasn't going to be considered for a lot of these, lead roles. There was nothing being written with a lead Asian actor in it, maybe a supporting, maybe a recurring sort of quirky friend or nerdy friend or any of these shows. A lot of the parts that I was booking were expositional, really disposable characters, often very stereotypical in terms of, we need somebody smart and disposable, hire an Asian guy. And I was good at it. And it was one of those things where I had to shift my perception, where it was like, I knew the chances of me being a lead on a show were very slim, but I loved acting and I wanted to do it. So how do I keep doing that? I keep getting these expository sort of character actors. And so I thought, well, I'll focus on that. I will be excellent at doing that. So, and these are roles that are readily available. So make yourself so good at it that you become the guy that they call in to do that. And that's what it was. It was just a shift in perception, because I just wanted to work. And the more I worked, the more I made it my pact to learn as much as I could so that eventually I could gain enough knowledge so I could start telling my own stories. And that's what it was too. It was just learning, getting as much information, making those connections with crew members or other directors and doing that work and other performers and being so good at it and so kind with other people too, that they would remember you and want to work with you for later on. And that's what it was. It was just that shifting. I'll say I came to that later on because at first I was just really angry about it. Hence my bitter Asian dude sort of handle on Twitter and angry up on Instagram. It was just, I was young and frustrated and angry. And I just felt like, oh, It's like to point out the systemic racism just felt like shouting into the wild. It was apparent, just nobody cared. And so I gave in to the dark side as it was, and I bitched and I moaned and I complained about the system and I was angry about it. And that felt good for about, 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
you surround yourself like that kind of individual, you draw other people like that too, right? So you just have an angry mob
Yeah.
that doesn't do anything productive. At the end of the day, you vent and you bitch and you moan and you villainize people, and it's easy. It's so easy to lay blame and have scapegoats and to not look within, right? It's just so easy to it's everybody else's fault but mine. I am the victim. And then I found that after a while, that was pointless. It was getting nothing changed. And it was a tremendous waste of energy, and it was poisoning the people around me, and my friends that I had just did not want to hang out with me. And, it really started to change when I was like, I'm not going to expend any more energy on that. I need to be more positive. I need to use my powers for good and to just start building things and creating things instead, which is harder, but infinitely more satisfying. And then once, and that's infectious. And I'm finding that, as I've gotten older too, more people are drawn to that as well, because who wouldn't want to be part of a community or something that builds each other up and lifts each other up and supports and inspires rather than tear things down. And like you see this in the online community right now. There's a whole subset of quote unquote fans who are just wanting to light the world on fire. That's so boring. It's so like, I don't want to listen.
Predictable.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to listen to like a top 10 reasons, things that you hate or why you hate this. It's like, I don't care about that. If you hate it so much, why are you spending so much time? And I used to do that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, it's not an airport. You don't have to announce your departure. Just don't watch it. It's simple.
I say that to people all the time.
Right?